I get it that people want to have a house for themselves, their family, and they're thinking about it very emotionally. But the thing is that when you go to buy a property, there's also a massive investment component, and you got to be an investor at that point. You got to put your investor hat on.
Live behind decisions I chose. Peaks feel good and the valleys get low. Chains for the tires in the rain, hail, snow. It's like this everywhere that I go, everywhere that I go.
Hey everybody, it's Hussein Kabani, your favorite broker. Today, I want to talk to you about pre-construction sales or new home construction sales. So a couple of weeks ago, I was actually out at a Mattamy site and I actually saw a bunch of people over there and I was wondering what was going on over there. I didn't think that they had any releases. So I went and asked them, what's going on here? And basically they were protesting. They were saying that they purchased these properties and now the prices have come down on them and they want the builder to actually rebate them so they're at the current price that they're offering the properties for sale. And I don't know. I wanted to get people's opinion about that because the way I look at this is that before you've bought this pre-construction property, you would have done your due diligence. What are places selling for around the area? What is it actually worth? What's my end game with this whole thing? But what I find mostly is that people end up buying in the hype. At the beginning of 2022, people were stomping over people and having their credit card and IDs and post-dated checks all in hand, ready to buy. Like, whatever you got, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to buy it. It was an emotional purchase. Oh, we're going to miss out if we don't buy this thing right now. So I feel like a bunch of people probably didn't do the analytics correctly, and they basically ended up purchasing a property that probably wasn't worth what it was when they had it on price. But because of the buyer demand was so high, they could have asked for whatever they wanted to, and you bought it. So to a certain point, do I feel bad for these people? Absolutely. But at a certain point, I have to also say that, hey, like, you're responsible for your decision. I get it that people want to have a house for themselves, their family, and, they're thinking about it very emotionally. But the thing is that you could think about that as a rental property, but when you go to buy a property, there's also a massive investment component, and you got to be an investor at that point. You got to put your investor hat on and say, hey, I can't make an emotionally charged decision, even though part of it will be. You got to think about the numbers, right? And some of the numbers, honestly, when these builders release, they're asking for a detached double-car garage home, 3,500 square feet. They're asking for like $1.8 million. And I'm thinking to myself, it's not worth it. Like, I could go out into a different area that I find to be regarded as a higher regarded area, and I could purchase something over there for the same amount of money, maybe even less. Why would I buy into this community over here? And even then, when I did this video, I basically told people that the way I look at new construction sales is this. And I've bought a bunch of new constructions, okay? So the way I look at it is this. I look at the resale market, okay? And I compare that product back and I say, hey, can I replace this in the resale market right now for the same money or less? And if I can, then I know I don't have a good deal on new construction for the most part, okay? But if I look at new construction sales and I look at the resale market and I'm like, wow, I'm actually getting a deal on buying new construction, I'm actually more inclined to buy the new construction because I'm not in a timeline to get it or whatever else like that. And I know it's a better deal. And if something goes wrong in the market at some point, I actually have some room that I can still kind of come down. The market can come down and I'm still in line with what the purchase prices are. But some of the decisions people made, I think, were emotional. They were out of hype, fear of missing out. And unfortunately, that's the consequences. I know that some builders have gone in the past and rebated people, but that's just out of the goodness of their own heart. They don't actually have to do that, okay? And one question I have to pose to people is this, okay? And I think maybe builders should offer it. And I don't know how many people would sign up on it, this. What if you went into a new home sale center, okay, and you want to purchase a property and they actually gave you this form and says you have an option over here, okay? You're going to purchase this property for $1 million. Now, we're going to share in the profit or the loss with you by the time this property closes. So now, if that property is worth $1.2 million by the time you close, well, it went up $200,000 and you would actually have to pay $100,000 more for that property than you initially signed for it to do a profit sharing with the builder because they're sharing the risk with you. How would you feel about that? Were you willing to sign off on that? But on the flip side, if that property goes from $1 million to $800,000, well, they're going to split that $100,000 loss with you. So you're not going to be at 8, you're going to be at 9. At least they split some of that loss with you. I'm really curious to know how many people would actually sign off on something like that. So if you have an option at a builder to say, hey, we're going to hedge your bets over here and we're going to share or take a loss in whatever happens over here by the time the property is built, are you willing to sign off on that? I've casually asked people this question, and most people are not willing to sign off on this. They actually think that the property is going to be worth more. That's why they're buying it. And most people wouldn't sign off on that. That being said, is it really fair to go back to the builder and say, hey, like I made a bad decision. I didn't know that the market was going to come down this much. And I actually want you to credit me back because of a bad decision I made. I kind of think it's unfair at the same time too, right? Like a lot of these builders may kind of compensate you a little bit, but I don't think that they're responsible for the investment decision you made. On the flip side, if you had invested in stocks, and I did, I got some great advice to invest in NEO stocks, and you know who you are. And basically, I don't know, went down 80%, and it was pretty decent amount of money. Who am I going to blame? Am I going to blame the guy that was all hyped up about it and told me to buy it, and I made the stupid decision of buying the stock without doing my research on it? No, I can't blame him. That was my own decision, right? So I look at this the same way. So when you get into new construction, guys, I have to say, you got to really do the due diligence, look into the resale market. And we always know that emotions play a huge role in people buying houses, because for the most part, when people are buying homes, they are housing themselves, their family, and they have a vision of what the future is going to look like, how they're going to use the space. So it's very easy for your emotions to get attached to what you're thinking at that time. The thing is that it's very hard, but you got to try to keep those two things separately, okay? You got to keep your emotions separate, and you got to keep your investment hat separate over here, okay? And I think that way you could probably make a smarter decision. Now, guys, I want to know your opinion, okay? Like, would you sign off on a waiver like that if a builder presented it to you? You're buying a house right now, and they're willing to share in the profit or the loss with you, 50-50. Would you sign off on that? Let me know, guys. Simple comment. Send me a DM if you don't want to leave me a comment. I want to know what you guys think. Until next time, guys, remember one thing. Get Kabani, get sold.
Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold.